untouched by war, the ancient city of Hue was one of the most revered places in the country. A center of learning, religion, and culture, this imperial city had huge symbolic importance for both North and South Vietnam. But now, Hue would have a unique claim to fame for very different reasons. In just 2 hours, on the 31st of January, Communist forces captured and gained control of the city. The occupying force was determined to destroy the South Vietnamese elite in Hue. They immediately rounded up everyone they thought was a threat. As many as 5,000 people disappeared. The American High Command and its South Vietnamese allies could not allow Hue to remain in communist hands under any circumstances. If this venerated city wasn't recaptured soon, it would be a spectacular propaganda victory for Ho Chi Minh. Hue is really two cities on either side of the Perfume River. To the north, the old Vietnamese imperial city, a gigantic 200-year-old citadel. And on the south bank of the river, the new city. Some 5,000 North Vietnamese and Viet Cong had stormed the northwest wall of the old city and had taken control of much of the ancient citadel. They'd also seized the new city to the south of the river. Only two places in Hue held out against the communists: a South Vietnamese compound in the northeast corner of the citadel and an American compound on the south side of the river near the bridge. What the Americans didn't yet know was just how strong the communist occupying force was. They were soon to find out. At 4:10 on the afternoon of the 31st of January, 160 Marines moved off towards the Nguyen Huang Bridge, with orders to reach the South Vietnamese army compound inside the citadel.
Just as the Marines reached the middle of the bridge here, a machine gun opened up on the far bank right in front of them. 10 Marines were killed or wounded, and the rest, taking cover, hit the deck.
One of my recollections was the bullets flying off the bridge's steel girders. They have a distinctive sound.
The commander had serious doubts about leading his men forward, but he felt he had to obey his orders to cross the bridge and continue his mission. The Marines pushed on. They walked up this street here from the bridge and turned right towards the citadel. Ahead of them was the imposing Tong Tu Gate.
I just turned the corner and got to about the first tree on the right. And suddenly all hell broke loose and a hail of bullets rained down on us from the gate up the street in front. I looked up, and all I could see were the muzzle flashes of NVA machine guns. NVA soldiers were dug in on top of the gate and citadel wall. We were like sitting ducks.
With 5 men killed and 44 wounded in just 1 hour, the commander realized it would be crazy to proceed. He gave the order to retreat. The Marines made their way back over the bridge to their base in the new city.
So, at the end of day one of the Tet Offensive in Hue, the Americans had a better idea of the mammoth task they were facing. Rather than risk more casualties venturing across the bridge again, they determined to clear the new city on the southern side of the river. From the safety of their compound, they started to move out westwards in 2 parallel columns, with a tank leading each one. Their objective, to reach Hui's local government building, that now had a Viet Cong flag flying on its rooftop. This was just 800 meters, about 850 yards down the street. It should take hours at most. They were in for a rude shock. The Marines were about to face some of the hardest fighting of the entire Vietnam War.
Most of the Marines had spent the last few months fighting in the countryside. Many had little or no experience of combat in urban areas. To make matters worse, the US High Command had banned the use of heavy artillery and airstrikes in Hue. This historic city was not to be destroyed. The Marines were on their own. Without this support and in the face of fierce opposition, progress was painfully slow. It took the Marines half a day just to get from here to there.
We'd been trained to fight out in jungles and rice paddies. That's what we'd been doing until Hue. In Hue, the NVA were properly dug in everywhere. We couldn't go through any open space. We had to find a completely new way of fighting.
As the Marines in Hue were quickly discovering, it's a lot harder to retake a city than it is to defend it, especially if each house has been turned into a fortress. To find out more about urban clearing, Dan and I joined the 1st Battalion of the British Parachute Regiment on a training exercise.
So that's all ready?
Yeah, I think so.
I hung back with the commanding officer,
Just waiting for each bayonet.
Sure.
while Dan, in full combat gear, was poised for action. The brief was to clear 4 houses of an enemy who had infiltrated the village. An urban environment is extremely difficult to secure because it provides so many opportunities for effective defense. In Hue, the Marines had to deal with troops who could be anywhere in the buildings, from the rooftops to the cellars.
Rapid fire in 10!
So you've got to be all the time on the lookout, all the way around you, up, down, behind you,
Yeah,
sideways.
360-degree
Yeah.
battlefield.
With a special camera mounted on my helmet, I recorded all the action as we moved towards the first building.
That's 8 platoon are assaulting now. So that's the break-in. That's our main effort to get that first building.
In goes Dan.
The first thing is to get a grenade in there quickly, and then pour in rifle fire. Urban fighting eats up resources and manpower. Go! Once you're actually in the first room, you then have to search out every part of it. It is dark and you have no idea what you're up against. You have to keep communicating with one another. But very quickly, it gets totally chaotic. The American